I got water. Just pour a little bit in there. That's it. It might. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. Grateful to serve this congregation. Grateful for your presence this morning. Happy to have you, those of you who are joining us on Facebook Live out there in the ether, enjoying your coffee and your couch. And I hope that you'll find your way here at some point in the near future. Thank you for those who are sitting out on the pavilion in this sort of interesting weather. Great to see you out there. And thank all of you for braving this new climate we're in here in Naples this winter. I am grateful for your presence, but I have a lot of gratitude to share before we even begin. We have guests. Is there anybody here for the first, second, or third time who brave enough to raise your hand? Welcome. Nice to have you here with us. Thank you very much. Glad to have you. And I hope that the congregation, as usual, will show your welcome after the service for anybody who you don't recognize. I'm grateful to have some of our coming-of-age youth with us this morning, and happy to have you here always with us in the sanctuary. I hope that the service will be interesting for you as well. This morning, we are graced by the presence of a wonderful baritone who I heard this morning singing, Matthew Cossack, who is currently resident artist at Opera Naples, and he'll be performing in this space a week from today on Sunday afternoon in a program titled An Afternoon of Arias and More. That should be great. Matthew holds graduate degrees and awards from both Manns College and the Yale School of Music. A native of Brooklyn, New York, he's been a finalist in many competitions and award winner. So we are graced with Matthew's presence this morning. Thank you very much for being with us. And I'm especially glad to welcome our guest speakers this morning and those folks who are going to provide us with the forum as well. Folks from our Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The Reverend Mary Katherine Morn is with us. She's the president and lead executive officer of the UUSC, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. She's been in that role since 2018 after a 30-year faith-based leadership in many different settings. She served congregations in Macon, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee, Fairfax, Virginia, always centering justice as an important aspect of her ministry in those locations. And during that time, she also served as in volunteer leadership at the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. Prior to joining the UUSC, she was the Director of Stewardship and Development for the Unitarian Universalist Association. And you'll hear a little bit more about how these two organizations work together. Joining Mary Katherine this morning is the Reverend Laura Randall, who serves as the Director for Congregational Relations at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Laura facilitates partnerships with congregations to strengthen the impact of the organization and the outreach of the individual congregations in their communities. Prior to joining the UUSC, Laura's ministry included serving as a hospice chaplain and as the Legacy Campaign Director for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Phew, I'm all done. But I'm extremely grateful for everyone's presence this morning, our guests and our regulars. And let's take a deep breath now as we center ourselves for this morning's worship with this morning's prelude.
Sure on this shining night of stormy shadows round, kindness must watch for me this side. the ground. The late year lies down the north. All is healed. All is health. High summer holds the earth. Hearts all whole. Sure on this shining night I weep for wonder. Wandering far alone of shadows on the stars.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am Laura Randall with the UU Service Committee, and this morning I offer these words by the Reverend Dr. Megan Visser. We enter this sanctuary for kindness and comfort. May rough-worn hands and aching backs be healed. We enter this sanctuary of hope for equality. May those who labor to survive live to know justice. We enter this sanctuary of love and vocation. May our bonds of solidarity be strengthened. We enter this sanctuary of courage and friendship. May we proceed hand in hand toward freedom. We are joyfully called to worship today. I invite you to join our voices together in our unison chalice lighting response. You can find the words in your order of service or on the screen. May this flame stir our hearts and remind us of our mission to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. Thank you, Tony. Let us now rise in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn. What is our opening hymn today? Our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials on this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind, seeds for the sowing are laid in store. compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
Please be seated. You sounded fabulous this morning, despite the rain and everything else. We have a couple of seats down front, if you'd like, and over the side. So it is my pleasure not only to have welcomed Laura to the sanctuary this morning, but the Mary Katherine Morn, colleague and president of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and I thought we would have a little conversation to start our morning so that you could get to know Mary Katherine. And she's been with us for the last few days. She joined me on Friday in Immokalee to visit the Coalition of Immokalee Workers, and we had a wonderful tour given by Sylvia Sabatania and Max. I'm forgetting his last name, shoot. Anyway, but I was grateful that you joined us there and got to know the organization a little bit better.
Thank you, Tony. And Tony and I also, I was invited by Tony 2 years ago to be part of the action in March, and I had the opportunity to get a little bit of a taste of the coalition's amazing work, but also of Tony's amazing ministry. Could I get an amen? It's an honor to work with Tony in a number of ways, and it's just been an incredible joy to get to be here in this place. We arrived really early when the building was still quiet. There weren't just a few people here setting the table for all of us, but from the moment I arrived, I felt your life and your love and the beauty that you appreciate and cultivate and the care that you bring to this congregation. And I want to say thank you, and I want to reflect as someone who's been in many UU congregations, for whom this is my first visit here, what a beautiful, vibrant community you have, a wonderful minister, and your engagement in the larger community. Just really something. I always say something nice to a congregation when I'm visiting.
I hope so.
And wow.
Yeah. So I know that the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and that's what we're bringing forward today. That's our job here this morning, and to let this congregation, in many ways, who are both longtime Unitarian Universalists and some people very, very new to Unitarian Universalism, to let them know about this organization that is our national justice organization. You can think of it, if you know the American Friends Service Committee, the Quaker organization does similar work. So how did you come to be in this role? I think that's a question I have. How did that happen? Yeah, so she's waiting for me to ask about accompaniment,
just
because
don't know how far back to go.
I know. So Mary Katherine was telling me the story of how her first time in a Unitarian Universalist congregation was she was actually playing the piano.
So I was so fortunate that the Unitarian Universalist Church in my community was looking for a piano player, and I was playing at a little Presbyterian church, and I visited the UU church and had the opportunity to be one of the most important leaders from the very beginning, because, and so much that I learned about leadership, I learned behind a piano. And it is actually a model of leadership that drew me to UUSC, and this is what I had told Tony. It also led me to seminary and to standing here for 30 years in congregations. But the leadership that happens behind a piano is really very much the same as the kind of leadership that UUSC tries to bring to the world. So, Abby, what would you say are some of the things I'm sorry. There are a number. I will not put Abby on the spot. So, a piano player is not center stage, right?
And grateful in that regard.
Right, I'm so sorry. And many piano players are very happy about that. But what happens on center stage depends so much on the faithful presence, the rhythm, and so many other pieces of leadership that an accompanist provides. And at UUSC, this is how we think of our work, that we're not in the center of the work, that our partners around the world are at center stage, and that we are working to support them with steady, regular, harmonic even, sometimes, support to the missions they have in the world. And it's a kind of leadership that I deeply admire. Thank you, Abby, for your leadership.
Yeah.
And it's part of what I love about UUSC.
Yeah. So when I was very active with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee as a program leader for their College of Social Justice, which is an organization that initiated service learning and then immersion learning experiences for Unitarian Universalists and many others into locations where they could really better understand what was happening on the ground, so they could bring that information back and do some serious justice work in their own communities. But the model there, and as Mary Catherine is talking about, the model with that organization was to partner with a local organization doing really good and values-based grassroots organization on the ground to make a change. And so that's the model that the UUSC has. So accompanying those partners and locations all across the world, which we'll talk about a little bit later, that's what the UUSC does. They're not out there necessarily sponsoring actions and waving banners. They're working very much behind the scenes to accompany. And I think that's another important thing, that we're not centering ourselves. And as mostly white Americans, we often think of ourselves as putting ourselves right out there in the middle, and we know what's best. We have the right answers. You should listen to us. But what this organization is trying very hard to do is listening to the folks on the ground and helping them do what they think is the right solution to their situations there.
And folks like Tony, as a program leader, and other people who were involved in our College for Social Justice really helped me, and I think it's more and more being used, understand justice work as accompanying. And we actually have a relatively new program that's called CAPAS. It stands for Congregational Accompaniment Program for Asylum Seekers. But I know. It's accompaniment, and it's helping congregations provide accompaniment for people who are seeking asylum, who need sponsorship, who would be in detention because they don't have connections in the community. But our congregations and like-minded congregations and communities can come together and be that accompaniment for people seeking asylum. So that's another example in a way that accompanying is our fundamental to our model.
And Laura is very much involved with that.
She is.
That
Ask
initiative.
Laura.
Yeah. Laura's also very involved with, and this is under the same umbrella, I believe, in terms of the accompanying. We're having trouble with that this morning.
Sorry.
Accompanying trans people who need to move because of where they are and the environment and the culture in which they're living. They need to get out. They need to move from one place to another to be safe. And so the UUSC is working with a number of other organizations to create, and they're using, as Laura explained it to me yesterday, so this is new to me as well, the sort of the understanding of land, sort of takeoff,
Runway.
takeoff, landing. So working on the ground where people are and people feeling threatened, getting them moving, getting them to where they have, and allowing them to land someplace safe. So that's some of the work that Laura is also doing. So we want to lift that up as well. So we're here to talk about this, but also to infuse a bit of sort of humanity and spirituality into this work, which it is completely. So let's take a deep breath, if you would, and let's center ourselves for our time of sharing and spoken meditation with our centering hymn, Spirit of Life. And yes, all the words will be on the screen today.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame. Fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
We come into this space as individuals and join together in community. In this community, we are blessed with the comfort and the ability to share with one another those things that are close to our hearts. We think about those in the world who are suffering, people of many persuasions from many lands. We think about the war in Gaza and struggle to understand. We think about the war in Ukraine and think about perseverance through hardship. In our own lives, we are inspired by those close to us and lifted up by community. If you have a joy or a sorrow you would like to share this morning, please raise your hand. I will bring you the microphone. Speak your name and share what's in your heart. Please, no announcements or political statements, if you will.
Hi, my name is Eleanor Richardson, and I'd like to welcome my daughter, Elise, and my grandson, Jidef, today. Could you stand up, please? I want them to stand up so you can see how Jidef makes me look like a midget. And they said in the car on the way over, "What are we, medals on your chest?" And I said, "Yep."
Yep. Thank you, Eleanor.
Hi, I'm Phyllis Andrews, and I have gotten to know the Haitian community really well with my work with the Democratic Party. And I just wanted to tell you there's a tragedy happening in Haiti right now. Gangs have taken over the whole country. They don't have any elected leaders. Neighborhoods are being taken over by these gangs, and the people that live in the houses are kicked out, and they're sleeping on the street, and they're sleeping in warehouses, and they're sleeping in junk cars. And I just wanted to tell you this, and hopefully maybe there's something we can do to help. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phyllis, very much.
Hi, I'm Betsy Vanas, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who put together this mentor-mentee thing that's happening with the older kids and that come here, because I've had the benefit of having a mentee, and the integrity and the passion that this young man has brought into his life, and therefore mine, is a gift I really can't thank you enough for.
Great. Thanks, Betsy, very much.
Good morning. A longtime member, Nora Wojcik, passed away on Wednesday. She had been in assisted living for some time, and she was 98 years old.
Thank you, Adrian.
Hi, my name's Dean. I had the chance to bring a refugee Vietnamese boy after the war. I raised him, and I was at his wedding yesterday, on Valentine's Day. And the other thing I have to announce is I got rid of my kidney stone this week.
As I said, this is a place where we can share just about everything.
My name is Cheryl Inglis. I have two things. First, I want to let everybody know my brother is here. He's a new UU. He joined last year out in Walnut Creek, California.
Wonderful.
And my daughter is here. My birthday was Wednesday. So they're here helping me celebrate. But on another note, I was part of the UUSC group, the only group that went with the doctors and nurses to Haiti a year after the earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
And I sometime maybe I'll do my story
You
on the
should.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. Anyone else? Right here.
Hi, my name is Brentley. Oh, stand up, okay. My name is Brentley, and we just fixed my dad's memorial tree. It just marked his 4-year anniversary. He died 4 years ago, and we just fixed that up yesterday. We cleaned it up. We pulled all the weeds. We just did everything like that. So.
Thanks, Bradley. I know how that must mean something. Grateful for all that has been shared, knowing that there are so many other joys and sorrows that rest in our hearts, blessed by the ability to be with one another and share our joys, our loves, and everything else. Please, let's center ourselves for a time of meditation and silent meditation.
The poet Rosemary Watola Tromer answers the question for when people ask that moment, like moments like these, when someone says, "And how are you?" I want a word that means okay and not okay. A word that means devastated and stunned by joy. I want the word that says, I feel it all at once. The heart is not like a songbird singing only one note at a time, more like a Tuvan throat singer, able to sing both a drone and simultaneously 2 or 3 harmonics high above it, a sound, the Tuvans say, that gives the impression of wind swirling around rocks. The heart understands swirl, how the churning of opposite feelings weaves through us like an insistent breeze and leads us wordlessly deeper into ourselves, blesses us with paradox so that we might walk more openly into this world so rife with devastation, so ripe with joy.
Scenes from my childhood are with me. I'm in the lot behind our house upon the hill. A spring day sun is setting. Mother with Tom in her arms is coming towards the garden. The lettuce rows are showing green. Thinner grows the smoke o'er the town. Stronger comes the breeze from the ridge. 'Tis after 6, the whistles have blown, the milk train's gone down the valley. Daddy's coming up the hill from the mill. We run down the lane to meet him. But today, in freedom's cause, Tom sailed away. For over there, over there, over there. Seems from my childhood are floating before my eyes.
Our reading this morning is the poem Matafidi Penem, read by the poet Kathy Jednil Kajiner. Kathy is the founder of one of the UUSC partners, Jojikum, an organization in the Marshall Islands. This organization's name means your home. And the organization works to support the education and engagement of youth on the Marshall Islands as they face the devastating impacts of climate change. On the 23rd of September 2014, at the age of 26, Ms. Jetnil Kajiner from the Marshall Islands addressed the opening ceremony of the United Nations Secretary General's Climate Summit.
Dear Matafele Benum, you are a 7-month-old sunrise of gummy smiles. You are bald as an egg and bald as the Buddha. Your thighs that are thunder, shrieks that are lightning, so excited for bananas, hugs, and our morning walks along the lagoon. Dear Matafele Benum, I want to tell you about that lagoon, that lucid, sleepy lagoon lounging against the sunrise. Men say that one day, that lagoon will devour you. They say it will gnaw at the shoreline, chew at the roots of your breadfruit trees, gulp down rows of your seawalls, and crunch through your island's shattered bones. They say you, your daughter, and your granddaughter too, will wander rootless, with only a passport to call home. Dear Matafele Benum, don't cry. Mommy promises you, no one will come and devour you. No greedy whale of a company sharking through political seas, no backwater bullying of businesses with broken morals, no blindfolded bureaucracies gonna push this mother ocean over the edge. No one's drowning, baby. No one's moving. No one's losing their homeland. No one's gonna become a climate change refugee. Or should I say, no one else. To the Carteret Islanders of Papua New Guinea and to the Taro Islanders of Fiji, I take this moment to apologize to you. We are drawing the line here. Because baby, we are going to fight. Your mommy, daddy, boo-boo, Dimma, your country, and your president too, we will all fight. And even though there are those hidden behind platinum titles who like to pretend that we don't exist, that the Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, Kiribati, Maldives, and Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, and floods of Pakistan, Algeria, and Colombia, and hurricanes, tidal waves, and earthquakes didn't exist, still, there are those who see us. Hands reaching out, fists raising up, banners unfurling, megaphones booming, and we are canoes blocking coal ships. We are the radiance of solar villages. We are the rich, clean soil of the farmer's past. We are petitions blooming from teenage fingertips. We are families biking, recycling, reusing, engineers dreaming, designing, building, artists painting, dancing, writing. We are spreading the word. And there are thousands out on the street, marching with signs, hand in hand, chanting for change now. They're marching for you, baby. They're marching for us. Because we deserve to do more than just survive. We deserve to thrive. Dear Matafele Benum, you are eyes heavy with drowsy weight. So just close those eyes, baby, and sleep in peace. Because we won't let you down. You'll see.
Matafele must be 10 years old by now. That poem that was read right after Matafele's birth at the United Nations General Assembly. Matafele's mother is still writing poetry, still fighting for her people, still raising her precious daughter. And I trust she still holds a bold imagination for us, for our shared future. She says there will be no more climate refugees. Do you believe it? Can you imagine it? This past week, I heard Professor Ruha Benjamin from Princeton speak about her new book, Imagination, a Manifesto. One of the important messages of the book is that while we celebrate imagination, right, when it comes to science and technology, we have lost a capacity for imagination when it comes to the work of justice. To help us understand the crisis of imagination our world is facing, Professor Benjamin invited those of us who are at the book reading to engage in a little call and response to help draw our attention to the way we all do this. So with thanks and apologies to her, I've adapted her call and response for us, and I'm going to ask for your help. So those of you to my right, when I point to you, I would ask that you respond with be bold and mean it. Be bold. Thank you. And for those of you on this side, when I motion to you, I invite you to roll your eyes and say, get real. Get real. And I was kidding about the rolling your eyes. We can get to deep space. Be bold. We can educate all of our children. Get real. Artificial intelligence will create new possibility. Be bold. We can provide a living wage for all. Get real. New technology will ensure security. Be bold. We could live in a world without prisons. Get real. We can build bunkers to protect some from nuclear disaster. Be bold. Cease fire now. Get real. There will be no more, we could support life in space. Be bold. There will be no more climate refugees. Get real. Can you hear us? At UUSC, we are blessed to be in relationship with partners who practice faithful imagination and healing connection. These are two fundamental principles that I believe are needed as we work together for a world that reflects our love, our compassion, our commitment to peace, justice, and love. This is a sermon about and an invitation to faithful imagination so that we may be part of the work of creating a world where all do not merely survive, but where all may thrive, where all may flourish. I'm grateful for the privilege of sharing stories from the work UUSC is doing with our grassroots partners around the world. And this morning, I will focus in particular on young adult partners. Many of our partners are young adults, not because young adults are the only ones who can practice imagination, but because those of us who aren't young have a lot to learn from them. When Ineza Umahosa Grace was in college, she had a vision for an organization that would help youth in her home country, Rwanda, and engage them in creating solutions for the devastating impacts of climate change that people across their nation were facing. People told her she should finish school first, and they even said she was out of her mind. The organization she founded in 2017, the Green Protector, serves and engages youth in Kigali, Rwanda. Since then, Ineza's commitment and bold imagination extended beyond her community and her country. In 2020, she was part of a small group of international young adults, activists, who founded the International Youth Loss and Damage Coalition. Loss and damage is becoming a more and more familiar term, but just to make sure we're on the same page, loss and damage is the way that climate activists are talking about what is needed when adaptation, when mitigation have been exhausted, and the devastation from climate change has left a community without the capacity for livelihood, for the preservation of culture. And it's a philosophy, an approach that sets up accountability for the large governments around the world who have created the damage in places that are not responsible in the same way for climate change. So that's what loss and damage is. When I met Ineza in 2021, the coalition was going strong, with hundreds of youth engaged from over 50 countries. UUSC We were their very first funder. And Ineza told us that our grant was vital to their growth and their ability to find other funding. Now, the coalition has over 1,000 youth involved from over 100 countries. And the international community is taking notice, as you've probably seen in the news, with the loss and damage funds established by the United Nations. Inesa's story reminds me of a piece that I read during the youth climate strike in 2019, I think it was. And Rebecca Solnit, a beautiful essayist and author, wrote an op-ed for The Guardian in honor of the work of those youth activists. And she wrote in part, "I want to say to all the climate strikers today, thank you so much for being unreasonable. That is, if reasonable means playing by the rules, and the rules are presumed to be the guidelines for what is and is not possible, then you may be told that what you are asking for is impossible or unreasonable. They will tell you the rules are that those we see in the news and the parliaments and the boardrooms hold all the power, and you must be nice to them, and perhaps they will give you crumbs or the time of day or just a door slammed in your face. They will tell you that things can only change in tiny increments by predictable means. They are wrong. Thank you for not being reasonable. Thank you for not listening when they told you. Get real. Nastya Podorahidze was in college in Krakow, Poland, when Russia invaded her home country in Ukraine. This is Nastya with UUSC Director of Grants, Michael Karabas. Because Nastya was safely out of the country, she was able to help her family reach safety from the violence of the war. But that wasn't enough for Nastya. She wanted everyone in Ukraine to know that they had family abroad who can help. This is a foundational principle for her work. We are all connected. We are part of one family. We only thrive when all thrive. So Nastya founded Martinka, named for her young niece, an organization that provides holistic, informational, legal, psychological, and emergency support to Ukrainian refugees who are facing sexual violence, human trafficking, the need for reproductive health care, including abortion care, and emergency contraception. When I hear UUSC partners talk about their work and what they're doing for justice, I feel my own courage grow. I see through their work how we can widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. And I want to take a moment to thank all of you who are UUSC members, who provide support that makes this work possible. Some of you have supported our work for years and years. Thank you so much. Some of you have supported in the past, and this always happens to me when I visit congregations. Oh, we used to be members. You are welcome back. And some of you perhaps are new to UUSC, and we hope that you will be inspired and want to be a part of this wonderful work that is happening in the name of our Unitarian Universalist values all around the world. Even if you are not interested in making a financial gift, we hope you will sign up for our news and advocacy communication list online, and you will be able to do that after the service. We will have a table right outside. At UUSC, we engage in the work of human rights through partnerships of radical trust with grassroots organizations creating community-led change. Our mission, and listen closely, our mission affirms the inherent dignity and power of all people. Wait, what? The inherent dignity and power of all people. I was surprised by this adaptation UUSC made some years ago to add the element of inherent power to that UU principle. And it is a critical addition. Just as a lack of imagination prevents us from moving justice, a perception that we are powerless paralyzes us, essentially giving in to the systems and governments who wish we would just get real. Leaving power out also causes us to treat other people, people who are facing systemic oppression, as though they were their oppression, that their oppression defines them. And defining people by the ways systems have marginalized them perpetuates injustice. We affirm the inherent dignity and power of all people. And UUSC partners consistently and stubbornly claim their power and reject the notion that there is little we can do. Like the 27 law students who have demonstrated for many around the world the potential of people with a vision for justice and equity who know their power. You may have heard or read about their story. In their environmental law classroom at the University of the South Pacific, the 27 students were given an assignment to come up with the most creative legal strategy they could imagine for addressing on the international stage the impacts of the climate crisis. They researched previous actions and campaigns and decided that what they wanted to do was call on the United Nations General Assembly to direct the International Court of Justice to issue an advisory opinion. Are you still with me? So get the UNGA to instruct the International Court of Justice to issue an advisory opinion that sets forth a framework for accountability on the impacts of climate, for accountability for the accountable entities who have created harm in the past, in the present, and in the future, what they call intergenerational equity. Sounds good. They took their proposal to the Pacific Island Forum and essentially got a nod and a congratulations and maybe an A. But this was no idle exercise for them. They wanted nothing less than the UN General Assembly to call on the Court of Justice to issue this very important ruling. So they formed the Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change and launched their International Court of Justice Advisory Opinion campaign. UUSC was one of the first funders, there's a theme here, of the Pacific Island students. This is a picture you'll see in just a moment of UUSC's Director of Advocacy, Salote Soko, with Solomon and Vishal, campaign directors. They were visiting us in Boston in 2022, and at that meeting with our board, Solomon and Vishal told us that it was funding from UUSC that made it possible for them to attend the International Climate Conference, COP26, in Scotland, where they made connections with larger organizations, spread the word about their campaign, and got really off the ground because of those connections they were able to make. UUSC has supported the Pacific Island students by providing them with UN credentials, by connecting them with our folks, members in New York City, so that they had free housing during the span of the campaign. and many other small ways that we were able to support. And it's one of the things I love about UUSC is that we are small and agile, and little actions make a big difference in these important campaigns. So with the sponsorship of the nation of Vanuatu, the 27 students took their campaign to the world and ultimately received the support of over 120 nations, almost 2/3 of the member nations. Can you imagine? On March 29th, 2023, Solomon, Vishal, Salote, and many others were in the hall in New York at the meeting of the United Nations General Assembly when the GA adopted by unanimous consent the resolution brought forth by the students. I cannot tell that story without getting chills and shaking my own head at my lack of imagination. How I forget what is possible when people know their power and have a vision of justice and equity. Now, there's a lot of work still to be done. We look forward to receiving the advisory opinion in the next 12 months or so. And we will work together with the Pacific Island students to ensure accountability and funding for what is called for, in addition to additional funding for loss and damage. The United States has contributed, made a commitment, well, they haven't contributed. The United States has made a commitment to contribute to the Loss and Damage Fund. We don't have time for me to do a guessing thing about how much they've committed. I will just tell you, $17 million. UUSC's budget is $12 million. We need to encourage and demand that our own government respond and act with accountability in this regard. Around the world, with your support, UUSC works with partners to challenge the systems that disconnect us, that allow us to turn away or to shrug helplessly and sigh, "Get real." In rejecting the notion that there is no other way and little we can do, feminist activists and young adult activists in Poland, the Pacific students, grassroots groups in Burma, democracy activists in Haiti, feminist farmers in Nicaragua, land and water defenders in Honduras, and many others are building healing connection and regenerative economies so that all may thrive, so that all may flourish. When you are tempted by despair, I hope you will remember Vishal, or Nastya, or Ineza Grace. I hope you will remember UUSC partners, our partners in the Pacific, who adamantly proclaim, "We are not drowning, we are fighting." I hope that you will remember that we can all resist injustice, joining together for peace, justice, injustice. Did I say that wrong? We can all resist injustice, that we can join together for peace, justice, and love. Our resistance can take the form of organizing, making a weekend meal for school children, supporting human rights work by joining UUSC, learning about white nationalism, Christian nationalism, joining in solidarity with farm workers, working for peace. We hope that you will make UUSC one of your partners in resistance. People will tell you to get real, but I want to thank you in advance for being unreasonable. Solnit says, "Your being unreasonable is what they always say when people claim their power to challenge structures of power. When youth challenge their elders, when indigenous leaders challenge colonizers and industry and demand the protection of community sources of water, when congregations challenge authorities and regulations by welcoming a person into sanctuary. In her love letter to the climate strikers, SoulNet writes, "You may be told that what you are asking for is impossible or unreasonable. Don't listen. Don't stop. Don't let your dreams shrink by 1 inch. Don't forget that this might be the day and the pivotal year when we together rewrite what is possible." May it be so. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Catherine. This morning, our plate collection will go to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. We are in a world where the values of justice, equity, and compassion are needed more than ever. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee has been at the forefront of advocating for these principles for over 80 years, and we are invited to help continue this incredible work. Across those years, the UUSC has achieved remarkable accomplishments, from aiding refugees and migrants to promoting environmental justice and supporting impacted communities. They provided humanitarian aid to those affected by crises and disasters who are often overlooked by larger human rights organizations. This organization has advocated for immigration reform and supported refugees seeking safety. It has championed environmental justice and, as you've heard, continues to combat climate change. The UUSC does this work by empowering impacted communities to assert their power, their rights to thrive. As a beacon of hope and as an incredible organization with which we are connected, I hope that you will be generous in your donations this morning. If you are interested in learning more, of course, I will mention in a minute that Mary Catherine and Laura will be providing the forum to tell you a lot more about many of the other places where they're working and the work that they do. But for now, I hope that you will be generous. The morning's offering for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee will be gratefully received.
If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. I shall not live in vain. I shall not live in vain. Or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. I shall not live in vain. I shall not live in vain.
Thank you so much, Matt, for being with us this morning and providing us such incredible music. I remind you, and I actually will invite Steve to come up to this microphone here, if you would, to tell us a little bit about the concert that takes place here a week from today.
Yes, thank you. On behalf of UCGN's Music Committee, I want to remind everyone about the third concert of our Pavilion Concert Series happening right here next Sunday, the 25th at 4 p.m., featuring Opera Naples resident artists. It'll be an afternoon of beautiful singing from opera, songs from classic Broadway, and a selection of art songs. If you were inspired by Matthew's offerings this morning, then you won't want to miss this opportunity to hear him again, along with 3 other gifted singers, accompanied by Felix Gerard, a superb pianist. I had the pleasure of working with these amazing singers in Opera Naples' recent production of Gilbert and Sullivan's Iolanthe. They each gave a thrilling performance and are lovely people besides. If you haven't already received or ordered your tickets, please see the recent office email to purchase online, or see me out in the foyer after the service. Thank you very much. Great concert, promise.
So I remind you that after the service today, after you grab some coffee and a little bit of conversation, we invite you back here in the sanctuary for the forum presented by Mary Katherine Morn and Laura Randall of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. They will provide you a lot more sort of in-depth information about the efforts and the initiatives that the UUSC is involved with and their support of grassroots organizations around the world. If you haven't been down to the second hanging, the second exhibit by Nancy Inatelli down in our Menaker foyer, I invite you to go down there after the service or after coffee hour or after the forum and enjoy some incredible pieces of art that depict people from around the world and learn about Nancy's foundation. Next Sunday, we'll have another fabulous forum after the service with Bertha Vasquez and Janice Bird, science educators who will be talking about, or their title will be, Don't Believe Everything You Believe. Bertha and Janice will also be working earlier with our young people down in the RE wing and providing them with some interesting experiments and getting them to be excited about science. And so we're looking forward to that next week. We mentioned the concert on the 25th. Harriet, where are you? Let me bring you a microphone, and because Harriet sent me an email that didn't get into my list this morning.
I'm Harriet Lancaster. 2 weeks from now, March 3rd, you're going to walk into the sanctuary and see some wonderful pictures from an exhibit based on a book called Focus on Abortion. And this is sponsored by the Friends of Planned Parenthood. We have 7 or 8 members from this congregation who are part of the Friends. Excuse me. We're going to have a forum. We're calling it Enough is Enough, Reclaiming Our Reproductive Rights. And it's going to be at 11:45. We have 3 providers who are going to be speaking. And we're going to have some security because one of the providers it needs some security. And so don't worry and come. We're really looking forward to this. We want you to look at the exhibit, come to the forum. Then in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, we're doing a reception. It's been by invitation, but if anybody from UU wants to come, you need to let one of us know for the food. So either Dina, who's right there,
friends
or
here,
Daryl.
Stand up.
Yeah,
Raise
Dina
your
or
hand.
Daryl or myself, so we can get a count. But we're also going to ask you to wear your UUID. Kathy Rippon and Jill and Barbara Gelati, Jill
Gnezda?
Yeah, they're going to be on the reception desk. So if they know you, but they won't know everybody, so please wear your UU. But do let us know so we can get you in the count. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Harriet. So this space We'll take our banners down for that time with the exhibit. Our corridors will be lined with these portraits and stories from all over the country. So I hope you will come at some point and see them. It'll be up for a little bit longer than almost 2 weeks, I think. So thank you very much for that, Harriet and Steve, and for everyone who are doing great things around here. Let's rise and body your spirit and join in our closing hymn, The Fire of Commitment. You'll see a familiar face up there as the author of the words we're about to sing. This is not unfamiliar to us. The Fire of Commitment, 1028. The words will be on your screen. We can talk all we want, but unless we're ready to give of ourselves to the struggle for democracy and human rights, unless we're prepared to offer our time, our talent, and our treasure so that the values we hold dear will endure, then the forces of greed and ignorance and fear will surely dissolve the bonds of compassion and reason that are our hope for the future. May we continue to strive in whatever way we can, by whatever means we have, to build that larger community of peace, justice, and love. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.